Western Australia's Pilbara region is truly a land of superlatives, hosting vast mineral deposits and abundant reserves of petroleum and natural gas. This remote outback area currently accounts for some 50% of the state's financial resources. But the region is best known for its enormous iron ore mines, owned by giant international corporations such as BHP Billiton and Rio Tinto, which between them account for 90% of all iron ore mined in Western Australia. Production figures are mind-blowing, with BHP Billiton alone claiming that their current annual production of 230 million tonnes should be increased by a further 10 million tonnes during 2013. And at present, 6 out of every 10 tonnes of this valuable and much sought-after mineral are exported to China, whose appetite for the iron and steel processed from the ore appears unstoppable. But there are other important minerals in the Pilbara too, among them salt, harvested at vast pans in the coastal regions of Dampier and Port Hedland, used in industries as diversified as chemicals, plastics, glass, detergents, textiles and foodstuffs. Almost 9 million tonnes of mineral salt is extracted annually from the Pilbara. At one time, Kenworth Dart articulated dumpers were used to haul the raw material from the pans to the stockpiles. More recently, Kenworth C-Series off-highway haulers have undertaken this same task. Coupled to 3 huge bottom dump trailers, the salt haulers are loaded by massive mobile conveyors and then cross the flats in order to discharge at one of the numerous stockpiles. Although not quite on the same scale as the iron ore extraction, the business of harvesting and exporting salt racks up some impressively large numbers, the combined production figures comfortably exceeding 8 million tonnes per annum for the Dampier and Port Hedland locations. Street-legal 3-trailer bottom dump road trains, headed up by Kenworth and Western Star tri-drive tractors and operated by Toll, are used to haul the salt from stockpiles to the underground silos at the actual port. Many of these units are powered by liquefied natural gas or LNG, using Westport-modified Cummins engines. The sheer scale of the mining operations currently underway in this remote region 1,000 miles north of Perth is almost incomprehensible. Communities such as Newman and Port Hedland, which serve the industry, are bulging at the seams as groups of itinerant miners, mechanics, drivers and plant operators flood into the area in search of work. Every hotel, motel, campsite and caravan is fully occupied, and each day that passes witnesses the arrival of yet more migrant labourers. The relentless expansion is not restricted solely to manpower. Mine owners and contractors alike are investing vast amounts of cash in order to improve the overall output. Indeed, it is estimated that hundreds of billions of dollars are being invested in the recovery of raw materials in the booming gas, petroleum and mining industries across the whole of Western Australia. Much of that investment is in new equipment, meaning that convoys of oversized, heavy vehicles carrying dump trucks, loading shovels, crawler cranes and other items of plant can be seen travelling northwards. And the boom times are not only exploited by Australian companies. In and around the Pilbara, it's possible to find equipment and personnel from ALE, Mammoet, Sirens and other specialist offshore enterprises. More than 850 oversized load permits were issued for movements on the Great Northern Highway in 2011, and this figure will almost certainly have been exceeded in 2012. Then there is the question of essential supplies, such as food, fuel and accommodation, all of which have to be trucked in from elsewhere in Australia. This means that in addition to the heavy haulers, an endless stream of road trains hauling everyday essentials such as beer, toilet tissue, food, fuel and clothing are constantly panning the supply routes between the Pilbara and the towns and cities to the south and east. Aware of all this activity, it was almost inevitable that CPP would want to take a closer look at the action.
I got to hear about the boom in the mining industry down in northwestern Australia, in an area called the Pilbara, so I just decided with a friend of mine that we'd take the opportunity to go down and have a look because it seemed to be the right time. We had a few problems when we started planning the trip because we were first of all going to stay in hotels and hire a 4x4, and we had to alter that because it's so busy there that all the hotels are booked up for the next 12 months. Yeah, so we had to hire a camper van, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise. It worked out really well for us, and we could film and take the opportunity to use all the light of the day without having to worry about getting accommodation, so it really worked out well in the end. In addition to the mining equipment that we're hoping to see in the mines, we were hoping to catch up with some of the equipment that's running up the Great Northern Highway from Perth to Port Hedland. We're in the queue down here, the truck stopped, we'll have a look around before we head on up north.
Road transport legislation in Western Australia has always favoured twin-steer vehicles. So, as a result, several of the state's largest road trains are headed up by 4-axle twin-steer tractor units. And boy do they look good. Bona fide heavy haulage or oversized vehicles are not bound by the same laws as regular trucks, and this means that even on stretches of the road where 3-trailer road trains are not allowed, oversized outfits are permitted passage. Even so, overtaking some of the wide loads with a 2-trailer road train or even a single trailer outfit is not always easy.
Well, here we are at Bindi Crossing on the Great Northern Highway on Saturday morning. This is when all the oversized run up to the Pilbara. We're hoping to see a few this morning. The information we got is that there's about 17 in the convoy, so sit back and enjoy.
The small community of Bindi is a popular spot for the drivers of northbound oversized vehicles to stop off and check loads and tyres. Poor road surfaces to the south do little for load security, and with a distance of some 600 miles ahead of them before the first of the mines is reached, it pays to take all the necessary precautions. Oversized vehicles are often escorted in convoy, and these are controlled by police who find it easier and more practical to escort a number of heavy loads all covering the same route and heading in the same direction. The loads being moved behind the Macks, Kenworths, Volvos and Western Stars include everything from dump truck bodies and chassis to massive articulating load shovels. The sheer size of this equipment gives some indication as to the scale of the non-stop mining operations taking place in the Pilbara. And the spectacle is reminiscent of Noah and the Ark, because the massive loads just kept arriving two by two. Needless to say, the drivers of regular haulage vehicles, unable to get past the slower moving wide loads on the single track road, are only too pleased to see heavy combination stopped at the Bindi Bindi lay-by. But on Saturday mornings, an empty lay-by most probably means that there are a couple of heavy loads somewhere up ahead anyway. Despite the intimidating size of the first loads to reach Bindi Bindi, it stands to reason that it's the larger, even heavier loads which arrive later. These can be either double-headed, with 2 units at the front, or push-pull combinations configured with one at the front of the load and the other at the rear. The trailers most commonly employed are manufactured by Drake or Hallmark. The huge numbers of heavy loads being moved between Perth and the Pilbara means that heavy haulers from all over Australia have been called into service. The blue Mack and Kenworth, operated by Macaleese Transport, are based in Mackay, Queensland, some 5,000 kilometres to the east. Similarly, the 6x4 Kenworth recovery vehicle had been drafted into service simply because a bona fide heavy haulage tractor was not available. Much of the oversized equipment used in the mines rolls on massive rubber tyres, and consequently these too are in big demand in the Pilbara. These colossal rubber donuts are so huge that lying them on their side across a flat trailer results in the load being over-whipped and therefore subject to a special movement order and an escort vehicle. As a result, specialist tyre suppliers, such as Tytec from Kewdale in Perth, have invested in purpose-built trailers designed expressly to transport tyres in the upright position, thereby eliminating the need for a pilot vehicle or special permit. And in this way, as many as 16 giant 60/80 R57 tyres can be carried at any one time aboard the company's AB triple road trains. High ambient temperatures year-round, coupled with high-speed hauling, means that truck tyres take a beating too. So it's not unusual to see heavy haulers and other multi-trailer road trains carrying as many as half a dozen spares aboard the prime mover. When you're working a long way from base, it pays to be self-sufficient. Out here, there's no convenient tyre fitter waiting just around the next corner. Not all the equipment comes from the US or Japan, although Caterpillar, Komatsu and Liebherr products do tend to dominate. So it was good to spot an emerald green crusher heading from McCloskey Machines, located in Coal Island, County Tyrone. And rubber material used for conveyor belts is in big demand in all the Pilbara mines, and this is transported on giant reels. Meanwhile, the few auto transporters one sees en route to the Pilbara are not loaded with expensive cars, but with practical, hard-working 4x4s that will earn their keep in the mining community. These have been specified from the word go for a tough life in the outback, and are already kitted out with reflective markers and big two-way radio antennas. Prior to this trip, the name Tut Bryant was not known to us, so we were altogether delighted to spot their immaculately turned out Kenworth T900 series ballasted tractor units, complete with Sisu hub reduction drive axles, and obviously propelled by an extremely powerful engine. These were among the nicest examples of a true Australian-built heavy haulage tractor that it was possible to find. Although most of the oversized loads arriving at Bindi Bindi headed straight for the lay-by, the largest played it safe by stopping on the hard surface road itself. This approach minimises the possibility of a load toppling over or of a heavy combination getting bogged down in the softer ground. What this procedure meant was that all other traffic was directed through the lay-by, and needless to say, this created a fair amount of dust as the heavily laden 2- and 3-trailer road trains hurried on past.